Well, hello. Hi. Welcome back to this episode of the Undoing Podcast. If you are watching this on YouTube, yes, I am batch recording. You will see me looking the same in 3 certain podcast episodes. But while we're in the moment, we might as well go ahead and do it no matter how bad our hair looks today. So thank you again for being here today. I have recorded 2 episodes so far today, and the last one was with my daughter. So I felt like I needed to have a little bit of a follow-up podcast episode to that. She talked about playing golf, and I asked her she was going to play for school, and she emphatically said no. So while I will not give the details of the story of what happened, what I will say is that you can be good at 2 sports at once. You can. You can play multiple sports at once. However, you can't do that if you're not allowed the opportunity. So it is Masters Week, and I'm not sure actually when I will release this episode, but it is Masters Week. If anybody knows anything about golf, it's like one of the greatest weeks of the year, right? Well, the Sunday leading up to Masters Week is the finals for the Drive Chip and Putt Challenge tournament. I don't know. It's not really a tournament. I don't know exactly what to call it. Drive Chip and Putt, I guess, is the final answer. We were watching that on Sunday, and they have these different age groups like 5 to 7 or 7 to 9. I don't even know specifics, but I will say there were multiple children that were participating in the Drive Chip and Putt. And the commentators were saying, well, this athlete is in XYZ. This athlete not only is here at the finals for Drive Chip and Putt, she also was a 2-time state champion for middle school basketball for her team, for her school. Multiple children that was said about. So I'm not sure if this is legal or not, so please do not come at me. I'm not actually going to show the video. I'm just going to play the audio of it. Probably still not legal, but hey, I'm not really sure how all this works. So there was this part, and the commentator is talking about this athlete. I want to say he's, I don't know, 10 to 12 age range, maybe a little older. He was a 2-time black belt, double black belt, as well as being at the finals for the Drive Chip and Putt. So how about we get like athletic directors and coaches and everybody else to listen to that too? When you play a sport, only one sport, and for some reason in the society that we live in today, at least here in the United States of America, we feel like the minute you start walking, you need to play the sport you're going to play in college. Whether that's cheer, basketball, soccer, golf, you name it, swimming, baseball, softball, like there's so many sports, right? So many sports. And back in my day, yeah, hello, I'm a Gen Xer. Back in my day, we didn't have year-round sports. It was you played baseball or softball in that season, and that was it. You played basketball in the winter. I know the world is different now, and sometimes that's great, and sometimes it's not. I don't know why we want to burn out these kids. Let them have an opportunity to play multiple sports. Do you know how great that looks in college for them? That you're a multi-sport athlete in high school and you can still manage good grades and you're able to navigate all of this? Like, hello, that's a lot. When Bella was in middle school, she also ran track. So she did cheer for school. She did cheer for club, she played golf, and she ran track. Now, she eventually gave up club cheer because it became way too much. That's a lot. She chose not to run track when she got to high school because high school cheer is a lot. She got burnt out. But she was still doing golf and cheer. And then she chose not to cheer her sophomore year because she felt like she needed a break because she'd been cheering since first grade. So she focused on golf. And then junior year, she decided to do both. It's never been an issue before. Not sure why we couldn't figure out a way to make it work. But again, I'm sure there's 3 sides to every story, and two things can be true at the same time, right? Not everybody's going to see my side of the story. Not everybody's going to see yours. You get my version of the story, you get somebody else's. The truth is somewhere in the middle. I'm not saying that we are totally right. What I'm saying is that even in high school, they're still kids. They shouldn't be forced to make a grown-up decision. Why do we want to put them in the grown-up world any faster than what we have to? Whether that's giving them a phone when they're 8, whether that's making them choose which sport they want to do in high school, we are supposed to be the ones that are leading and guiding them. What are we doing? What are we doing? Like, why can we not show them that there's more than one way, that there are better ways? Okay, I'm going to get on a tangent. That's not where I want to go. My point is, you can be good at more than one thing. You can navigate more than one thing. You don't have to just choose one. Life is short. If we've not learned anything lately, especially if you live in my area. Life is short, friends. Be kind to one another. Figure out a way to wake at work. Yes, I'll leave that in there because that is how my brain has been lately. Figure out a way to make it work. Let's help these kids grow up to be strong and amazing. There's so many things in this world that we are giving them that we are doing them a disservice, like technology, phones way too early. They don't know how to talk to one another. At least if they're in sports, they're not on their phones all the time, right? And they have to learn those skills and strategies. I have heard employers and people that I work with that coach college students, I have heard them speak with them and say, employers don't want to hire your generation because you don't know how to look someone in the eye and shake their hand. Why are we not teaching them these things? Sports teaches them a lot of these things. In golf, guess what they do? At the end of the match, you take off your hat, you shake your opponent's hand, and you say, good match. Thanks for playing today. And a lot of these times, like these kids, at least I know with Bella, they go out there and they end up becoming friends. That's her opponent, but they become friends. They figure out a way to make it work. Why can't we? Okay, sorry. Also, actually, no, I'm not. I don't know if I should go there. Actually, I am. Okay. I was listening to a podcast. My family hates it when I say that. I was listening to a podcast. I was listening to Mel Robbins, and I haven't even finished it. I can't. Let me look. I'll have to tell you her name because I'm not going to get it right. I was listening to Mel Robbins on my way to school yesterday. Barbara Corcoran. I'm pretty positive I'm saying that correctly. Barbara Corcoran was on her show, and she's talking about how she was dyslexic and she was all of these things, but she didn't know that she was those things, and that her mom was really great at recognizing her strengths. And so she would just tell her, hey, you know what? I see blah, blah, blah in you. And she believed that. And she became like one of the top real estate agents. And I want to say she was in New York City. I could be totally wrong. And like sold her company and all of these other things. Like it really made me think. And we've talked about it some, but we use so little of our brain. And our brain believes whatever we tell it. Whatever we tell it. It doesn't know the difference between real and imaginary. It doesn't know that I just watched Big Hero 6 and that movie's not real and I cried at the end because it was sad. It didn't know that that wasn't really happening in real life. It thought that that's what was happening right now. That's how my brain processed it. Your brain knows what you repeatedly tell it. So if we as parents are repeatedly telling our children, well, you're ADHD, you can't do that. Well, you're XYZ, you can't do that. Well, you're dyslexic, so you can't blah, blah, blah. I'm only using that as an example because that's what she talked about in the podcast. Well, you're too slow, you can't run. What if we flip that? What if we told them that they were invincible? What could they become? Instead of us always pointing out the negatives. What could they become? Coaches. What could your athletes become? Teachers. What could your students become? Are there going to be students out there that struggle? 1,000,000%. I was one of them. I was not in the highest reading group. I was in the lowest reading group. They thought I was dyslexic in first grade. My last name was Barber, and I got my B's and D's backwards. I was Jenny Barter, not Jenny Barber, for the record. But what if in second grade, Miss Cardigan had never come over to me and told me how proud she was of me for how well I had done on my spelling test, even though I probably cheated off of Lawrence Band because spelling was horrible for me, and she saw me, and from that point on, I really tried hard. What if she never would have done that? Who would I be today? We all have so much power, and so many of us just use it for negative. You have a choice, and at some point, whatever happened to you when you were a kid, that becomes a choice for you to hang on to it. Trust me, I know. Trust me, I know. So you can either choose to hold on to that and be bitter and angry, or you can choose to let it go and make you better. And you can use that to help other people. So I feel like this episode's kind of been all over the place, but it really all ties back to we have a choice. Grown-ups, what are we doing if we're not leading the way, if we're not standing up for our kids? And that doesn't mean that they just get to do whatever they want. We're all special, right? We all have a special birthday that we were born, but that doesn't make any of us above any rules. We all have to follow the same rules. Life is not fair. No such thing as fair. As my mom would say, the fair only comes once a year and it's preceded by county. And it took me forever to figure out what that meant. And if you're like me and a little slow, it's like, hello, she's talking about the county fair, friends. Life isn't fair. So do with it what you will. Either advocate for yourself and try to make it equitable, right? We have to differentiate in classes at school. We have to do what's best for students. Shouldn't say have to. We should. We should be doing those things. We should be doing that for all kids everywhere. But sometimes that doesn't mean that you're going to get everything that you want or that people are going to see your story your way, or that people are even going to be in your corner. And if that is the case, then you at that point have a choice. You can choose to look at it as, how is this working out for me? Or you can choose to look at it as, why is everybody against me? It's all about perception. So in this house, have you figured it out yet? We are choosing to look at things as, how is this working out for me? Because everything happens for a reason. And I know that's a really sucky answer for some people who have had some horrible things happen to them, right? Might not be something we wanted to have happen. Might not be something we would have chosen. Might not be something we had a choice over. But we do have a choice of how we respond to it. So just like I tell my kids at school, the only person you have control over is you. And the only thing that you have control over is how you respond to others. So how are you going to respond to others today? And how are you going to control yourself to be your best self and to help others and make this world a better place? Thank you again for being here for this episode of the Undoing Podcast. We are just undoing all sorts of things. Like, I don't even know what I think I just talked about there. So if you have not yet followed us on all the socials, we hope that you will. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. I think that's the only places that we are. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast, we'd love to have you. Reach out, send us a message, a DM on the socials, or we do have an email address, which we will link in the show notes. All right, friends, I hope you have a wonderful day. Can't wait to see you again in a couple of weeks for our next episode of the Undoing Podcast. Until then, ta-ta, toodaloo for now. I love your face. That's right. Peace out, Pub Scout.